Good morning, students. I hope so. Everyone is good and everyone is fit and fine. So today we are going to continue with the same chapter that we are doing the previous lecture. That is like chapter number 12, India after Independence, class 8, subject history. And this is your lecture 2 from this particular chapter. In your new book, this chapter is chapter number 10. So don't get confused with the chapter. This is chapter number 12 if you are having the old book, and if you are having the new book, this is chapter number 10. So basically in the previous lecture we have talked about how basically we have got our independence on the basis of partition, where a lot of refugees have come into our India, and they have faced a lot, the government basically faced a lot of challenges basically for the unity and development of our country. So the majority of Indians basically were divided into different sections of the society. So basically, the government's duty was that so the entire country should be united again, and there should be a proper development for the country. And after that, our constitution was written, and in that there was a lot of features that was basically highlighted, and that was basically discussed in the Constituent Assembly. That was the right to vote. First of all, the first main feature is the right to vote. Then basically then they have talked about the equality, basically that equality comes before law and before anything else. Then the third feature of the constitution basically offers special privileges for the poorest and the most disadvantaged Indians. And after that there were basically few debates that happened, basically on discussing the power of the central government versus those of the power of the state government. And in that the three lists have been combined, where a union list, a state list and concurrent list would have been made, with basically who will be responsible for taking which kind of decisions. Then another major debate that concerned it was about the language. Like many members believe that English should be the main language, but others wanted that Hindi should be the one. So there was a compromise that was settled that Hindi would be the official language and English would be used for the official records. So that's what we have studied till now. In today's lecture, what we are going to study will be how were the states to be formed. So basically, after when we have got our independence, so there were a lot of conflicts that happened between different linguistic groups, that they were demanding their own states. So did they actually get their own states or not? That we are going to be discussing in this topic. Then we are going to talk about the planning for development. So basically the government has set up a planning commission to design and execute the different policies of economic development. So basically the state and the private sector would play an important role here. So what are the basic this second 5-year plan or the planning commission have basically planned in this? We are going to study that. And the last topic is the nation 60 years on. So basically India celebrated 60 years on its existence as a free nation, and like where India is still united and democratic. Many foreigners said, observers could, that India could not survive as a single country, but they did, and they have break all these particular barriers and everything, and they have been recognized as one of the most leading developing countries as a whole. So that we are going to study here, and the homework that I will be assigning you with this particular lecture, that you have to do. So that's it that we will be doing today. So everyone please be ready with your books, with your notebooks and one pen in your hand to write down the notes. So the first topic that we are going to study is how were states to be formed. So basically back in the 1920s, where the main party which was there, that was the Indian National Congress Party. That was the one of the main party of the freedom struggle at that point of time. So basically they had promised these linguistic groups who were basically established at that point of time, that after they have won the their own independence, each major linguistic group would have their own provinces. Means they will be having their own regional groups or regional states, where they all these linguistic groups or linguistic people are going to similar linguistic groups going to stay together in one province. So however, when independence in India got their independence, the Congress did not take any step to honor this particular promise. So that was one of the reasons that it has basically disappointed all these linguistic groups, and for India it has it has been divided on the basis of religion, despite the wishes and efforts of Mahatma Gandhi. So Mahatma Gandhi have basically taken a lot of effort to basically unite the entire country in one. But basically because of this religion gap which was there in our country, it has divided into two parts, India and Pakistan. So basically we have got our freedom which had to come not in one nation but to two. So basically the freedom that we have got is basically that we have received not in one nation but we have got two. So as a result of this partition of India, more than 1 million people had been killed in riots between Hindu and Muslims. And basically, could the country afford further divisions on the basis of the language or not? So basically, because of this particular division that was there in two religion, basically two religion, that was Hindus and Muslims, many, like millions of people were killed in these riots. So they were very, the government was very much stressed that the country could afford further divisions on the basis of these linguistic groups or on the basis of the language or not. So basically at that time, both our Prime Minister, Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru, and Deputy Prime Minister Vallabhbhai Patel were against of the creation of this linguistic state at that time, because they don't wanted that our country should be again divided into different parts. They want that the country should be reunited as a whole, because at that point of time, unity was the main thing that the country required. So they have given this particular thing in their speech as well. Like after the partition, Nehru have basically said that disturbance tendencies had come to the fore. To check them, the nation had to be strong and united. So basically, there is a lot of disturbing things that is being surrounded with our independence that we have got. So basically, currently the nation had to be strong and united as one, not divided in different linguistic parts. And again, Patel has also said something in his speech about this particular thing only, that the first and last need of India at the present moment is that it should be made a nation. So basically, he was basically saying in his speech this only, that the first and the last need of India at that present moment was that India should be as one nation. They should be together as one, not in different parts. So everything which helps them to the growth of nationalism has to go forward, and everything which throws obstacles in his way has to be rejected. So he basically has said that everything which will be coming in the growth of our nation in many ways to make them united, or which is helping them in the development of our country, all these things should be taken forward. But anything which is coming as an obstacle in this particular like development for the country, or it is disturbing the unity of the country, that should be rejected. So basically he has applied this test to this linguistic provinces, and also by this test, in our opinion, they cannot be supported. So he was basically said this particular thing. Now that the Congress leaders would now go back on their promises, that created great disappointment. So after this particular thing, when the Congress leader have denied this particular promise, so this has created a lot of disappointment amongst the different linguistic speakers. So there was Kannada speakers, there was Malayalam speakers, there were Marathi speakers, had all looked forward to having their own states. Now the strongest protest, however, came from the Telugu speaking districts, of what was the Madras presidency at that time. So basically all these speakers were basically demanding their own state at that time, and they were doing a lot of riots and protests at that time. But the strongest protest which was having was from the side of the Telugu speaker district, which has given them a name also, that was Madras presidency. When Nehru went to campaign there during the general election of 1952, he has met with black flags and slogans demanding "We want Andhra." So basically there was an election campaign that was going on, and Nehru went there to campaign there during the general elections of 1952. So in October of that year, they were basically roaming around with black flags and slogans demanding "He want Andhra." So in October of that year, a veteran Gandhian named Poti Srinamullu went on a hunger fast, demanding the formation of Andhra state to protect the interest of Telugu speakers. So as the fast went on, it has attracted a lot of support from the Madrasi people and all these Telugu speakers. So what they have basically done, they have done all these hartals and bands were observed in many of the towns. So basically they were protesting in such a big number. So there was one mass leader. He was basically following the Gandhian words only. So Sriramulu was basically on a hunger strike for demanding the formation of Andhra state to protect the interest of the Telugu speakers at that time. And on 15 December 1952, 58 days went into his basic fast. So basically 58 days he was on a hunger strike only. He was living only on water. And after this particular thing, Sriramulu died. So as a newspaper put it, the news of the passing away of Sriramulu engulfed entire Andhra in basic chores. So basically there was a lot of intense protest that happened after his death, and all these protesters were they were basically widespread in the entire country, and intensely they were like appealing to the central government and force them to basically fulfill their demand. And basically this has made the government to recognize their demand, and on 1st October 1953 the new state of Andhra Pradesh came into being. And after the creation of Andhra, other linguistic communities also demanding their own separate states. So basically वैसे ही Andhra state बना था, the other linguistic communities which were there, they also started demanding their own separate states. So a states reorganization commission was set up at that time, which basically submitted its report in 1956, which was basically recommending the redrawing of district and provincial boundaries to form compact provinces of Assamese, Bengali, Odia, Tamil, Malayalam, Kannada, and Telugu speakers respectively. Now there was a large Hindi speaking region of North India that was broken up into several states. Like a little later in 1960, the bilingual state of Bombay was also divided into separate states for Marathi and Gujarati speakers as well. Now in 1966, the state of Punjab was also divided into Punjab and Haryana. And the former for the Punjabi speakers, who were also like mostly Sikhs, were in the Punjabi side, and the later for the rest who spoke not Punjabi but versions of Haryanvi or Hindi were in Haryana. So that was a division that happened in Bombay and in Punjab. So basically that was divided the Marathi and Gujarati speakers and the Punjabi and Haryanvi speakers. Now another topic that we are going to discussing today is planning for development. Like lifting India and Indians out of poverty and building a modern technical and industrial base, where among the major objectives of the new nation was to basically take our country forward into the verge of development. Basically the economic development they wanted for the nation. So in 1950, the government set up a planning commission to help design and execute suitable policies for economic development. So basically the major demand that was there at that point of time was to unite the people. At the same time, they want the economic development of the country as well. So basically in 1950, the government has set up a planning commission to help and design and execute suitable policies for the economic development. Now there was a broad agreement on what was called a mixed economy model. So basically, after they have set up a planning commission to basically design how they are going to execute these different policies which can help for the economic development of the country, there was a broad agreement on which they have called this particular thing a mixed economy model. Now here both the state and the private sector would play important and complementary roles in increasing the production and generating jobs. So basically here they have given the few of the responsibility to the state government and the other responsibility to the private sector, which are going to play a very important role and making our country like different sectors, which are basically agriculture, secondary and tertiary sector, increase their production, and basically they will help in generating jobs. So specifically these roles where these industries should be initiated by the state and which by the market. So basically they have initiated this thing in different states. like few of the states which are actually developed, so they are giving them certain resources so that they can actually develop more in that particular policy. So how to achieve a balance between the different regions and states was to defined by the planning commission only. So in which particular state need to be more developed and how to make a balance between all these different territories like agriculture or secondary and tertiary sector will be designed by the planning commission only. Now in 1956, there was a second 5-year plan that was formulated, and that was basically focused strongly on the development of heavy industries such as steel and on the building of large dams. So basically at जब हमारा नया second 5-year plan बना था by the planning commission with that was being formulated, they were mainly focusing on the development of the heavy industries now, because basically these industries are going to make much more profit for the country and which is going to take the country forward, which was the steel and the building of these large dams could help them to estimate the country in a better way. So these sectors would be under the control of the state only. Like different states are going to let us know that which heavy industries could be established in these regions or not. Now this focus was mainly on the heavy industries, and the effort at state regulation of the economy was to guide economic policy for the next few decades. So basically this particular policy have been following for like more than 20 to 25 years, that they were mainly focusing on the heavy industries for a very long period of time, because this can generate a lot of money for the country which could help them like forming their name internationally, and nationally also they can build their economic development. So basically this focus was mainly on the heavy industry only, because the effort at the state regulation of the economy was to guide the economic policy for the next few decades. Now this approach had many strong supporters. Basically the approach that had been taken by this planning commission to take forward the heavy industries was having a lot of support from the lot of people out there. So but also some vocal critics were also there. So obvious reasons are there. If there many supporters are there, so obviously there will be people who are not supporting all the like decisions of the planning commission at that time. So some felt that it had to put inadequate emphasis on agriculture as well. So many of the people who were basically saying that कि आप जो हमारा सेकेंडरी सेक्टर है उसको डेवलप करने में लगे हुए हो, मेजरली अभी करंटली जो डिमांड है इसकी, जब तक हमारा प्राइमरी सेक्टर डेवलप नहीं करेगा तो आप सेकेंडरी पे कैसे पहुंच रहे हो. सो बेसिकली दे वर एम्फसाइजिंग मोर ऑन द एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर. Now others argue that it had neglected primary education basically. So other were also arguing that कि आपने education के लिए कुछ नहीं रखा, you are not like you are just thinking about the economic development, you are not like educating people. Educating people could have believe in better implication of this economic policy. So still others believe that it had not taken account of the environmental implications of the economic policies at all. So there were a lot of criticism that was happening by the to this planning commission, that they have just focused on one particular thing and they have neglected the other things here. The last topic that we are going to discuss is the nation 60 years on. Now on 15 August 2007, when India celebrated its 60 years of its existence as a free nation, how well has the country done in this particular period of time? So now we are going to discuss about in the last 60 years, what was the development that India has made, and what basically the constitution that has been written 60 years back, it has basically helped India in many ways or not. So, and to what extent has it fulfilled the ideals set out to its constitution or not? So that is going to be discussing in this topic. Like that India is still united and that is still democratic are achievements that we might justly be proud of basically. Like today India is still united, and that is we are just following all this democratic policy with great demand. The achievement that we have made, we are very proud of it, and many foreign observers have felt that India could not survive as a single country, that it could break up into many parts with each region or linguistic group seeking to form a nation of its own. So basically they have observed that many foreigners were saying that कि अब जैसे इंडिया कभी एज अ सिंगल कंट्री सर्वाइव नहीं कर पाएगा. इट इज बेसिकली गोइंग टू ब्रेक इनटू मेनी पार्ट्स because every region or any linguistic group, they are going to ask for their own particular nation, and that is going to break the entire country. And others believe that it would come under military rule. So other also there were a lot of other people who were thinking that the India could be coming under the military rule. However, as many as 13 general elections have been held since independence, so there was 13 general elections that has happened since independence, as well as hundreds of states and local elections were also there. There is a free press, as well as independent judiciary that has been established in our country. And finally, the fact that people speak different languages or practice different faiths has not come in the way of national unity. So in total अगर देखा जाए तो after our independence there 13 general elections हो गए. There was hundreds of states and local elections that happened, and there was a free press who was basically, we were having our independent judiciary. And finally the fact that has came that despite of having different speaking languages or practicing different faiths, our national unity haven't disturbed by all these things. So as Mahatma Gandhi followers Meera Behan wrote in 1949, by science and machinery may be huge returns for a time, but ultimately will come desolation. We have got to study nature's balance and develop our lives within her laws if we are to survive as a physically healthy or morally decent species. Now on the other hand, there was deep divisions per side. So basically on the other hand, there were other changes that was basically guaranteed by the constitution, like the untouchables, or they are not now referred to the Dalits, face violence and discrimination till now. So there were also certain things that didn't work for the country. That was untouchability is still being practiced, which they now call Dalits, face violence and discrimination. And in many parts of the rural India, they are not allowed to access to water resources, temples, parks and other public places as well. And despite of the secular ideas instinct in the constitution, there have been clashes between different religious groups in many states also, like Muslims, Indians, or Muslim communities not going well with the Hindi community. So there is still regional groups with differences are there. Untouchability is still being practiced, and above all, as many observers have noticed, that the gulf between the rich and the poor has grown over the years. So basically the division that was not that much at the time of independence between the rich and the poor has been grown over the years. Now some parts of India and some groups of India has benefited a great deal for economic development too. But the good news is that like some part of India and some groups of Indians have benefited a lot out of the economic development. Like they lived in the large houses and dine in expensive restaurants. They send their children to expensive private schools and take expensive foreign holidays. Now at the same time, many others continue to live below the poverty line. They have housed in urban slums, or they are living in the remote villages on lands, and they yield basically little, and they cannot afford to send their children to school. So the constitution recognizes equality before the law, but in real life, if we say that some Indians are more equal than others. If we judge by the standards it set itself at independence, the Republic of India has not been a great success for our country, but it has not been a failure either. So we are in between of that. So that's it for this chapter. Now these are the homework questions that you have to do. Question number 1. What were the problems of development added to the problems of unity at independence? Question number 2. What is meant by the term refugee? Question number 3. What was the main focus of second 5-year plan? Explain. Question number 4. When was the planning commission set up by the government? And question number 5. What were the major debate in the Constituent Assembly concerned it to? So these are your homework questions that you have to do. And if you find any difficulty in today's lecture, please let me know in the online class. We are going to discuss your queries here. So that's it. Thank you so much for listening to this lecture and please take care of yourself.